For me, and again, this is a bit of a bias because I come from an English background, but the essay was really important because it felt like it was the one place where there were almost no rules, in a sense. Your GMAT score, your GPA, all the other things matter, but I felt like the essay was the real opportunity to be able to show who I was and how I was different, and obviously that applies for everyone. So it's just a question of finding the right way of characterizing my experience and what I wanted to get out of the MBA. And all the conversations that Dylan and I had afterwards, after I got in, came off of that and came off of my experience and what I felt I wanted to get out of the MBA and what I thought I would bring to the table. So the essay for me was really a clear differentiator as far as the application is concerned.
One of the approaches I took with the essay was I asked a friend to read them just to make sure, because sometimes you get so involved in the writing process that you forget to take a step back and ensure that what the message you're trying to put across in your essay is actually clear to somebody who has never read it before and isn't as familiar with the information as you are. So it's always great to have a family member, a friend, read through the essays and then ask them afterward, what was the message you think that I was trying to get across, and make sure that it's aligned. And then it's also great to have them help check for anything grammatical or spelling that spell check might not pick up on. For the GMAT, my piece of advice would just be to practice. I bought practically every practice book you could find at Barnes & Noble for the GMAT, and I did all of the practice problems, and I think that really helped me, especially on with a lot of the mathematical problems. The more practice you do, the easier it gets, and you figure out some of the tricks and tips along the way. And then if you decide to do an interview, I would highly recommend doing a mock interview with a family or a friend, kind of somebody who knows the academia world and how typical interviews are conducted for either undergraduate or any type of graduate program. I'm sure they can help come up with some simple questions just so you can start thinking about and formulating your story and have a sense of the types of things that you want to talk about.
I think for GMAT, my advice is to take the whole sample test, like not just solve like few problems here and there, but sit there for 3 hours and then do the whole test and take like 5 or 6 of these sample tests. I think that would improve your scores a lot. And then in regards to the application, again, the essays are one of the most important things, and also kind of hard because you have to reflect on yourself, and it kind of lets you discover who you are actually, and then you can think differently. You might change why you're applying. So it basically rediscover yourself and while you're applying, and take a chance and just figure out what you really want to do. I think that comes out in the essays. And then depending on that, I think you also want to choose your people who are recommending you, who really know you as a person rather than just professionally. So I think that will help you a lot.
Yeah, I think with the recommendations, it's important to choose people who obviously know you, but if you're going to choose somebody at work, don't just look for the highest ranking title. You want the recommendation to come from somebody who has actually seen your work and can vouch for your work and talk about you personally and professionally. And if that comes with a high ranking title, it's all the better. But I think it's more important to get the recommendation from somebody who's truly seen what you're capable of doing and can talk to your strengths.
Yeah, and a couple things I'd add too, based on what Rajesh and Jessica said. The GMAT, I think, this is again a personal opinion, but I'm a big believer in actually taking an exam that's as close to the original, the real thing as possible. So simulating it, doing the 3-hour exam, and taking the actual GMAT exams as opposed to someone else's version of what a GMAT looks like, I think is great, because that's how you learn psychologically. The other thing I would say too is in terms of what Jessica was saying with interviews, is you get the opportunity here. I think it's now become mandatory, if I'm not mistaken. It used to be optional. Highly recommended. To do the interviews in person, and again, to carry that theme further of being able to differentiate yourself. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to people. Somebody the other day described it to me as making sure that people don't have 3 heads, essentially, as being able to kind of meet someone in person and see what kind of a person you are and what personality you have and how that comes across. I think that makes a huge difference, because obviously the applicants in general are excellent, so you want to differentiate yourself in a different way.